Hello, my beautiful people, and hello, beautiful Michelle Gray, whose links are in the description box below. And hi, my lovely boy Erik. I love you.
Hi, Mom. I love you. Love
Oh,
you, Mom. He's like, hi, everybody.
hi. So we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna talk about you today, Erik, the man of the hour. So
He's
everybody
in a
wants to
suit
know how
coat.
you. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
He's in a suit coat. Just
oh,
gave
and
me a little flash of himself dressed up
and a papa suit. He loved
in
the
a
papa
papa suit.
suits. Yeah.
hmm
All right, so some people want to know what you're up to in heaven these days. Um, and this person says this session could go in depth on how he spends his time, what the process is like for helping those of us he guides. Does he have a dashboard showing all of us and our needs? Can he see all of us at once? All right, well, let's just go with first. How are you doing these days, Erik?
He says he's doing awesome. He's doing wonderful. Um, he says as far as his own life as Erik, he's processed a lot of his um he says in our linear time quite some time ago, he's processed a lot of his human emotion, like the healing. So that's been done for a while, but he says he still has um the best way to explain it would be soul contracts with the family,
Mhm.
because he says that what he is doing right now with you, Lisa, he says with my mom, with the rest of my family, and with channeling Erik is part of a soul contract, whether he would be, like he's saying it, he would be part of the ascension, part of helping, whether he had been in the physical or in spirit. And he says he would have worked with you no matter which way, because he says there was many different ways that we could help, but we agreed to come here to help humanity. And so he says that is where his soul, he says, like, uh personally, that's where he is focused, is
Well, it'd
helping.
be nice if you could have just stayed in the physical and accomplished the same thing. Would you have been able to? The same?
He says he would not have reached as many people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It would not have been as big, but
Okay.
it still would have had an impact, he said.
Yeah.
Um, he says that, what does he do? He says, well, um, he says most of his time, to be honest, is focused working. But he says, when I say work, he goes, that's my life. He goes, and a lot of time with you, Elisa. And he says, does he have a dashboard with everyone else? He says, well, think of it more like an earpiece. He
Okay.
has a, I was going to shut that off
Picking
too.
up Radio
He,
Moscow. Picking up Radio Moscow.
yeah, he says, think of it as a little earpiece. And he says, it'll vibrate. And he says, I can turn channels. I can be part of your life, anyone's life. And he says, anyone that is connected to channeling Erik, and he's even showing like a domino effect of those connected to those in channeling Erik, he has a line on.
Hmm.
So he's explaining it like, uh, tuning into a channel and able to view and be part of anything that is needed at the time. He says sometimes he is more physical, more present if that's needed. Sometimes he just pops in, and he says these would be one of those times where you might just feel like oh, that sounded like Erik, or that felt like Erik. And he says, so it's like a quick pop in. But he says the biggest thing that he does, he says, aside from, do I have fun? He goes, of course I have fun. He goes, if I'd like to go, yes, now he's on a roll. He's got friends in spirit. So if he wants to experience taking a rip on the beach and he's showing like flying around on his motorcycle, he'll do that. But he says that his big focus, and he says that he's grown. So he does things a little differently now than what he did when he was first in spirit. But he says, my biggest thing is I help people deal with their shit. That's what I
Hmm.
do. I help people deal with their shit.
Yeah.
He says, no matter what is going on, he says, even souls that are crossing over, he says, they still have shit to deal with too. So he says sometimes it'll be a channeling Erik member that crosses over. Sometimes it will be, and he shows, because we're all connected, he shows all these wires going out and how he gets like a little vibration where it's somebody that's part of his team and that he will go to and meet upon their crossing. Or he
Oh.
says sometimes he preps the family on both sides.
Mm.
So sometimes he goes and helps the family or assists with the guides because Erik teaches. And so he does a lot of teaching. So for a long while, he was learning. And he says, and don't think I don't still learn. He says, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But he says that as a whole, as a complete soul, he says that with the reach that he has, and he's reminding everybody that with all of the awareness of him, and he's called upon a lot, there is a very strong vibrational effect, which allows him to really do a lot more. So he says, I'm always learning, I'm always growing, but he's also a teacher. And so he says that can go in different directions, but he also teaches spirits. He teaches
Yeah.
other souls. He helps other souls communicate with their loved ones. So he's working on both ends. He's
You
kind
do
of
like
laughing and
a
he's
one
saying
on.
like he's a medium.
Oh, is it a one-on-one teaching, or do you ever like go in amphitheaters and
He
teach?
he does both. He
Oh,
does
wow.
both. He says think of like a presentation. Um, and he says, Mom, I've often used our family as an example and to help other souls understand the processes that their families are going through, to help them understand what they're able to do. Now, Erik says that he does push limits a little bit. He says he doesn't get in trouble anymore. Sometimes he would get a little bit of a, oh, you can't do that. You
Oh
shouldn't
yeah,
do that.
I remember those days. Like when you went to some guy in I think it was Ireland, and stood in front of him and said, "Hey," and the guy had never seen a ghost before. "Hey, I bet I could tell you how far away your girlfriend is," and she was in Canada, and he's like, "Oh my God, what?" And he's like, "Whatever, 1,000 miles." So I said, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah, he says there's a lot of things that we could do, and he will, like he's saying it like if there is he's saying a call, like I make a call, if there's something that he feels is going to be beneficial, he'll push that boundary. And he's saying it like I'll take the heat afterwards.
Yeah,
But
it's better
the
to
way
do it and then and ask for forgiveness later, right?
yes, but he's saying it like he's learned a lot and in many layers. He says that he does do one-on-one as well. Um, he's showing me different souls that have come over that are also going to be guides
Mm.
or that are working with their parents. And he says that he talks to a lot of souls who are connecting with their parents to write books, to share stories, to speak. He says mediums. He works with a lot of mediums and he helps those in the spirit realm communicate clearer. And he's saying a
Mm.
lot of parents are mediums.
Yeah.
So a lot of the parents learn their own communication abilities and how they can help. So he's showing so many domino effects of everything that happens and
Yeah.
how connected the spirit realm is and how we really are all working together. And so he's just saying like as far as time goes, he does say a lot of his focus is in your family home.
Mm.
And he says that he doesn't exist as much in uh he's saying like a home for himself in heaven. He does have one.
Mm.
He has created one. But he will sometimes if he needs and he's saying it like if I need to kick and put my feet up, and he's showing me like a pair of tennis socks that are a little too long,
Yeah.
like and they're dangling a little
Uh,
bit. He's like doing this with his feet. But if I need to put my feet up and just take a moment, he can go to that place at any time and be there. But where he does rest, he says, is in the family home,
oh.
is with you guys.
Well, how come I don't we
Particularly,
don't get any more pranks, or I don't get any more signs?
Well, Eric says
or
part of that
visit?
is mom, where he says he still does give you signs, but he says you're also really busy.
Mm,
And sometimes the things that you get aren't as noticeable as maybe they were at one time. But he
okay.
says that there's a lot of change happening. And he says, Mom, we are evolving, because he says, you are evolving and so am I. So sometimes the work that we're doing, like there's a lot of energy put into the work that you're doing,
Mm,
and maybe not, the energy's not being put otherwise in doing some of the bigger pranks. But he says, don't worry, Mom, don't worry, they're not done, they're not
okay.
over.
Yeah,
He's like
give me a
showing a
big
big
one.
encyclopedia. I got some big ones. So that's your homework today, Eric. You can give your
Yeah.
mom a big prank or a
Right,
visit
right. I
if
mean,
you want.
you did one for your big sister, Christina, on the day you died. You something like you the book on the whatever just flew off the table, or I can't remember what it was, but it was a classic.
Well, I did a good one. Was it last night? Yesterday afternoon, my daughter was in the bathtub. Okay, my middle daughter, the one that rides motorcycles.
Yeah, the
And
Shelby,
so
the
she was in,
Shelby.
yes,
Yeah,
Shelby. Yeah. So she was in the bathtub, and she called me from the bathtub and she said, Mom, I cannot believe what just happened. She goes, I don't even know what to say. So, you know, those shower caddies, right?
yeah,
And it
right.
has like all your shampoo. So
Oh
we have a
yeah.
shower caddy. She's in the bathtub and she says she looks up and a shampoo bottle that like is not laying on its side or anything, that is in its position in the shower caddy, lifted up and whipped across the bathroom and hit the door.
Wow. See, that
So
would
yeah,
be cool. Eric, do that. What did
yes.
Shelby get embarrassed?
No,
Naked in the bed. She don't care.
no, no,
She's
she
beyond
doesn't care.
that.
No, she was a little freaked out by it, but the
Yeah.
very first thing she ever saw was that she saw a Windex bottle moving across the counter. And this is before
Yeah.
Erik ever came into our life. And she saw it just kind of slide slowly in front of her. So
Wow.
it's pretty interesting. But she's had a lot of experiences lately. And what Erik is saying is Erik is teaching another guide with her. So it was two of them
Oh.
that was there yesterday.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
so cool. Yeah, I mean,
they'll
you
be
can turn on water faucets all the way, make unplugged appliances work, and all sorts of cool stuff. I'm ready for that. Or when you were hopping
yes,
across my bed and I actually saw it. Oh, I miss those days. So anyway,
yes,
maybe do one every once in a while, please.
yes.
Okay.
He says, I got you,
So
Mom.
who do you hang out with over there? And who do you hang out most beside me over here?
He's actually showing me a friend. He's got a friend that he hangs out with, and
Here or
it's not
there?
something every, it's in spirit, and it's somebody that he is connected to, that he had physical life with.
Is it Allie? Is it a girl or a guy?
Yeah, it's a girl.
Is
It's a
it
girl.
Allie?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Oh wow. See that Allie, that was a horrible thing for Eric. They were at a graduation party. Well, he wasn't. Thank God he wasn't there. And this guy got a new gun. And anyway, the neighbor took all the bullets out. And anyway, he was showing it off. And anyway, he got drunk and he must have put bullets in without remembering. And he pointed it against the back of Allie's head. And she, of course, thought it was empty and said, "Are you afraid to die?" Like that. And no. And boom, in front of all the kids.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
devastating for Eric because he just loved her so much. And he
And
wrote on
he does.
Facebook,
He does love her.
I miss you, Allie. I'll be there soon." He
Oh,
said, so that was kind of an indication. Mm. So that's
yeah.
good. Is she doing okay?
He says, yeah, she's doing really good and she helps a lot.
Mm.
She is also, he says, he's saying like part of the team. She's
Oh,
part of the team.
was it a
And
contract? What happened?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And so he says that it was a contract that Allie would communicate with him, that they would connect. So
Oh,
he says, we still fulfill our contracts,
yeah,
even if it changes.
yeah,
We still
sure.
fulfill it in the way that we're able to. And so he says that this is like fulfilling that, but he's talking about them blending energy. He's actually showing all molecules, like all light. and it pixels together.
Mm.
And he says, like, that's communication. Like, we're sitting together, we're having communication. Um, so he does spend a lot of time with her. He says that there are many. He's talking about philosophers, and
Okay.
he's going way back to um, like hundreds of years ago. And he's showing me actually going to other times,
Oh, wow.
like slipping
Socrates
into other
time, all
times.
that. Yeah.
Yes, and having these conversations. And like, Eric's just saying, he's laughing because I'm so excited hearing it, because he says, yeah, it's like, it is mind blowing. It's fucking crazy. It is. But he says it is amazing how we learn, because he shows opening up a book, and it's like you put your thought to, oh, I wonder what, and you start having a conversation, and all of a sudden you're focused in that area. You're getting all of the information. He says it's like the best way to describe it for us humanly to understand is, he says it's like being in The Sims. It's like playing in The Sims, like a
Oh, yeah.
game, but he says it's very like he says it's more real.
Yeah, of
It
course.
it feels real in heaven compared to what it does here. He goes,
Wow.
because when you compare it, he says this is the dream. But he says it's very much like you can download experiences, you can download everything into your own field, which is really connected to everything else, and you can be anywhere at any time.
Wow. I wish I could have
So
done that in medical school. Hey, so who is your
yeah,
favorite famous person or people that you like to hang out with?
he really likes Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
He
I
says
love
that's
me
a
some Jesus
really
too.
good pal of his,
Oh,
really good pal. Yeah,
that's
he says that
fun.
they work together, they hang out. He's showing like linking arms, like they're skipping through the field,
Oh
linking
my
arms
God.
together, like they're
That's
buddies.
cool.
They are buddies, yeah. So he really likes hanging out with him. He's showing me who's this? Kurt Cobain.
Okay. He's a
Kurt
guide for
Cobain
a
is
lot of CE members, it seems like.
Yes. Yeah, yes. And Erik says, yeah, there are a lot of what we would know as celebrities that are guides, and Erik does know them. He does communicate with them, and they are part of the same team. He said that there are a lot of guides that, a lot of CE members that do share. Freddie Mercury is one of them, he's saying.
Okay.
Who else? Anthony Bourdain.
Oh,
Um, who else do we have here?
David Bowie, I
Uh,
think maybe is one of them.
yes, David Bowie.
Bowie.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a female as well too. I'm not sure who this female is. Who is that, Erik? Uh, I want to say Betty White. Is that
Oh,
Betty
I
White?
love her good.
Yes, it is Betty White.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Okay. Okay.
So there's quite a few. And he said part of that reason is that their soul, because their soul came and had a very public life, the vibration connected to their energy is very expansive. And so many people know them,
Yeah.
and that is part of them, to be able to share, to be able to touch the hearts. And many musicians, because he says that music, many that are here that are sharing music have that healing energy to them.
Yeah, they do.
And
Because
so
music could be
they
healing. Yeah.
and they're called upon quite a bit. And he says that they have the choice whether they want to be a guide, whether they want to work in that direction. And he says most of them do, and are very happy to.
Okay. So, how many Channeling Eric members do you personally guide?
Well, he said long term, um,
Yeah, long term. Let's start with that.
he says between 100 and 200
Oh
long
my
term,
God. How many are you guiding right now, long term and short term?
over 1,000,
Oh, wow.
just in
Oh,
channeling Erik. But he says he just would like to say that he pops in and out of every single channeling Erik member.
Oh, wow.
And he says, like, as soon as somebody has that awareness, and he's also part of bringing them to channeling Erik. So he says that if it's not him directly that brings someone, he's working with family in spirit, loved ones sometimes that have just crossed,
Yeah.
and they want their loved one, they're pulling them in this direction, because he says when somebody's having an awakening, or it's part of their ascension, he says that he will assist in pulling them forward. So he's touching them in one way or another, even if it's for a short time or a long time. But he says he's always, always there. So, like, call on him. He's like, you all have that. You all have my private number.
Oh,
So he said,
yeah. Not unlisted for them, huh? So,
yeah.
yeah, what is your telephone number? 555 ERIK.
777.
Okay, there we go. So,
Call heaven.
what what family members of yours do you hang out with over there?
Oh, so
Oh,
your
Denise.
sister,
Yeah. Okay. All
Denise.
right.
That seems to be one that he visits with quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
with Denise. He's also saying, so, uh, grandfather. So this would
Oh,
be Rudy's
Norwegian or?
dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah. Best of father. They were very close.
yes. And you know, that's the very first word I ever heard Erik say,
Really?
was Bestafar.
Really?
And
Oh
I,
my
yes, and I didn't know what it was.
God.
So I had to go and look it up. And
Oh,
that's how I knew for sure it was Erik that said it,
yeah.
because I'm like, oh, it's Norwegian. Okay,
Oh,
that's what it
wow.
is. Yeah. So he does, um very interestingly, Bestafar is, like, he is learning, like Erik's showing me, like, there's a growth spurt happening in his soul.
Oh,
So
wow.
he wants to do more, and he's like speaking to large groups. So he's already in there and
Oh,
starting to
wow.
help.
That sounds
And
like him.
so, yeah, so Erik said that he does spend time with him. He said there's other family members that he pops around and sees, that they're in different locations, is how he says it, because he
Okay.
says heaven is not all, like, there's different vibrations.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Different levels. Yeah.
mhm. So
Vibration levels.
he says it's like, he says it's like crossing state lines, like those kind of
Oh,
things. So
okay.
he has to go to a different state,
Oh.
to visit everybody. But
What about Bessemor, your Norwegian grandmother? She was so sweet.
his sweet like candy. He just showed me a whole bunch of candy floss.
Oh,
Yes. Yes, he does see her.
how about my parents? They weren't the nicest people in the world. How do you get along with like my father?
He says he gets along well. He says that he's offered a lot of assistance. There's been a lot of releasing. He says that he's really helped him with self forgiveness,
Mm,
uh, being able to forgive himself and understand his own soul path, understand his own soul blueprint. And so Erik's really focused on the word forgiveness.
yeah.
And he's showing, like, a group, like your immediate family, like all of them. And so their higher selves, so your higher self is present. Like they're having a meeting. It's
Okay.
almost like he
Intervention.
yeah, well, it's Erik says it's family counseling.
Oh, okay, good.
Family counseling. So he says um so you've got another sister that's living, right?
Yeah, two that are living. Or
Two that
one
are
that's
living.
one that's dead to me. Listen, and my
Okay.
other sister.
Because
She
they're
robbed me
higher,
blind.
he's showing the higher selves being present, because he says that, because um there's still energy present that is from your father and from your mother. It's like there's still existing energy from their actions,
Yeah.
that when they have family counseling, which is the best way to call it, it assists you guys on Earth.
Okay.
It helps your soul, helps your energy, but it also helps on this side too. He says there's still healing that goes on. He says there
Yeah.
may not be that heaviness and carrying that deep pain, but there's still a sense of, he said, think of it as a sense of responsibility.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I need
That
to
makes
do
sense.
this. I can't go forward or,
Whoa.
go
Wow.
any further until I take care of this responsibility.
Awesome.
That's how it feels. Yeah.
Uh, what about family over here? Well, first off, do you have a girlfriend? You used to have one. I don't know if she's still Jillian.
Jillian.
If you're a player.
Yeah. Well, Erik says that Jillian does not get jealous.
Oh, good.
um, there's another one he's saying Anita.
Okay.
There's an Anita. And he also says that there is a girl in the physical that he communicates with named Kathy.
Okay.
That is he's just saying like wink wink, she's cute.
Oh, so
So
he's attracted to her.
yeah, she thinks she's really sweet. He's kind of chuckling like it's not a relationship. He goes, I'm just a little sweet on her.
Oh,
But
that's so cute.
Jillian he says is still his main squeeze.
Oh, do you have sexual relations with those two at all? I mean, merge energy kind of thing? Or if you don't want to answer
Um
that, it's fine.
no, what no, he says, Mom, he goes, I can talk to you about anything.
I know you always could.
Yeah, nothing is off topic. Um he says yes. And he says, although in spirit it is different,
Yeah.
but yes, he does.
Okay.
He says it's he goes, if you can even imagine, it's like being even closer than
Yeah.
what you can in the physical when you merge energies like that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's a YouTube on the Channeling Erik where you talk more about having sex in spirit. Tell me about your home that you sometimes go to, but not often. Can you describe it and the environment around it?
He's showing it to me right now, and he says it's very clean lines. Um, he's he's got a lot of it looks like things that he's collected on the walls, because I can see like a picture of a motorcycle, and it almost looks like a moving picture. Like,
Oh,
how they had those picture frames that used to flash the different
oh
photos.
yeah, right.
That's what it looks like. It's like it's moving, but the motorcycle is like moving around it.
Uh,
Um he's got a big TV, and he shows like he's showing me leaning back, and everything is white, like, but I don't really see walls.
okay.
It looks more like it's just white, and there's this big TV hanging there. He's sitting on black. So there is a couch, yes. He says there's a bed.
Okay.
Do I really sleep in it? He says, no, not really. But he likes to change up. He says he likes to change up the way it looks. So he says not everything always stays in the same position. It
Yeah.
depends on what he feels like.
Okay.
So he can recreate it at any time. He says that he's in an area where there are others. Like that this was built because he says it's energetically built.
Yeah.
Like he made it. It's built. It's a place he can go back to. But there are other spirits that have also built homes
Uh-huh.
in it within that area, because he's showing me a community on the outside.
Is it like a
So
suburban area or a country
but
neighbors?
it's both, because it's so funny, because if I look over to the right, I can see tall buildings, I can see trees, I can see like a suburban type area in front of it, and then I look over to the left, and there's fields.
Oh,
It's
wow.
very open and expansive.
Cool.
So he's got either.
All right. So, who do you hang out in the family? But other than me, of course, we work a lot together in our
He
family.
he says he's been hanging out with Annika a lot
Okay.
lately,
Mhm.
following her around. helping her get ready for big and exciting changes coming up, he says.
Okay.
Um, uh, he says really he takes turns and sometimes he splits himself between two of you at a time.
Okay.
Um, he will most frequently split himself between you and Papa.
Okay.
He does that quite a bit. Um, he likes to ride with Papa and listen to his mind.
Oh,
He likes to listen to the thoughts, and
I
he says that
bet.
Papa is very interesting.
Yeah, he is
Very
very,
interesting. Yeah.
very interesting mind.
Um, when he comes to you, he says, although we work together, he says that when you finally sit down at the end of the day, he lays right across your lap.
Oh,
And he says he wants you when you sit down tonight at the end of your day to know that he's right there so that you can feel him, so
okay.
that you can feel his
I'm
energy.
terrible at that, but I'll try.
He says
Um,
you'll feel me, mom.
okay, so oh yeah, let's talk about your hobbies. What kind of hobbies? You like riding motorcycles? What else?
He's taken up some fishing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he
He
used
says
to do
that there's
that
a
with Aunt Laura some.
he says that there's another soul. He says it's a channeling Erik. It's a channeling Erik member's son,
Oh,
and he goes fishing with him, and so he enjoys doing that. He also really enjoys being with the animals, and he's got a cat with him right now. He's got a
okay.
black cat under his arm.
That must be Ringo, the one who most recently died.
Yes, it is Ringo.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Oh.
is.
What about
So,
Zoe? Well, Zoe, I think is Bella now, but I'm not sure. Zoe was our first dog, a beautiful Weimaraner.
yes, yes,
Mm,
yes. And he says that's right, Mom. That's right. Zoe is Bella.
okay.
But he really likes being with the animals. Um, what else do you do, Erik? He has started to paint.
Mm.
Um, and he says that's really cool. He shows painting and the paintings come to life.
Ooh,
It's like
wow.
it's like painting scenery and then stepping right into it.
It's like Mary Poppins,
Yeah. And
the
he says
sidewalk
he
chalk thing.
creates the entire process. He says that he enjoys the entire process. He said that he wasn't able to slow his mind down enough in the physical to do those kinds of things.
Yeah,
Like it also didn't give him the dopamine rush that he wanted.
yeah,
So he says that he's having an experience that he enjoys because he says it's very different, and he likes creating. He loves to create, and he loves to create where others can be part of it, where
yeah.
others can enjoy it too. And he's showing me creating like an amusement park, creating landscapes, like all kinds of things that he does
Wow,
with paint. Mm-hmm.
that is cool. Do
Mm-hmm.
you ever, when an animal of a CE member crosses or a baby, do you ever help take care of them?
Always, he has been present for every channeling
Transition.
Erik member, transition, pet, loved one. He says that he gets the call before it happens. He
Mm,
often knows. So in linear terms, he usually knows at least the day before, depending
mm,
on what the situation is.
yeah,
And he says often he's called upon.
yeah.
So it comes from spirit, like he's showing like internal vibration
Oh,
from
yeah.
from headquarters, or
Headquarters,
yeah, or
calling all
he's being
Eric's.
called, yeah, he's been called upon. And he's also saying Uncle Erik, and he's with the nieces and nephews.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he plays with them. He says he especially loves the babies.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I know that there's somebody caught one, I guess it was Nick, caught an orb going right from Liam, the 4-year-old, 5-year-old, can't remember, flying away from him. And it was like clearly an orb.
Yeah, that's Erik.
That was you playing with Liam, maybe?
100%.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so cute.
He
Oh yeah.
says yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So give me does it work when you help somebody here? Like maybe you can give me a concrete, without giving names, a concrete example.
Okay. So he says, how it feels, because he's giving me everything in vibration to help me understand how he senses it. And he
Okay.
says he feels a drop. It's like a drop in the energy, and it's like a signal. And he says it's like a vibrational signal because he's connected. And he says, for our understanding, it's like having
Yeah.
a tube connected to everybody. So he assesses the situation. So he's going to give an example of a woman
Mhm.
that has been going through a very difficult time, healing, but healing from a lot of trauma.
Oh.
And so what he does is he says he often, when somebody is in a healing state, so this particular woman, there's a lot of asking for help. I need help, 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 help. And he says, in this particular case, she knows who I am. She knows that I'm there. She's been communicating with me and knows that I'm able to help. And so, what he does is he goes in and he vibrationally is able to balance their auric field,
Mm.
it to give them, he says it's like, do they need a little bit more feminine energy? So he's like showing,
Oh.
like testing their field, like I'm testing, like what
Oh.
do they need right now? Are they sick in the stomach? So he's like going to whatever, and he says, now remember, there's also a blueprint, a soul contract, that there's
Yeah.
going to be certain lessons, things that need to happen. So it's like he's assessing the whole situation.
Yeah.
What can I do best? So it's vibrational. He says it's like focus is how it happens. He says sometimes he'll call in others. There's always an angelic presence that is there. So
Hmm.
he says sometimes he'll show up. And in this particular woman, he's showing having like a case study,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So he's like flipping through the pages, like looking at the case study, and the guardian angel is giving as much information as possible. And Erik says this all happens at once.
Wow.
So it's not really this back and forth conversation. It
Right.
just all
Right.
comes in at once. But so does that entire experience. And he says, and then I'm able to sit. And he goes, and sometimes I am just sitting with that person to
Mm.
help hold their vibration to get through a period of time. And once they start to hold that vibration on their own, then he releases and
Okay.
allows them to go. He says he does that a lot with people, depending on whatever they're going through. And he likes to show little synchronicities, like, so like popping his name somewhere or popping a video up. He does that a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh,
So
that's
especially
cool.
with channeling Erik members.
Yeah.
So if he's holding space, he goes, I'm in your auric field. He's like showing typing like on a computer, like, what can I do? What can I do? So he
Oh,
does what he can to get the right information to them. So
okay.
however that is, he goes, a lot of times it is a channeling Erik video. And he says that there are many people right now hearing this that know that something popped up exactly what they needed to see. So, with the help of other souls, that's a lot of what they do. Now, he says with this particular woman that he's speaking of with a lot of trauma, he says he's answering questions. And what he shows is he shows like a Rolodex of questions coming around, and he's just continuously feeding the answers. But he says that person's not getting all of the answers all at once. He
Yeah.
says they get the answers as they need it. So
Yeah. Makes
he's
sense.
filling the answers in, and off he goes, and they're left with their vibration held and the answers all to come to them as they need it.
That's so cool. All right. So how do you plan on, you said, and you and David Bowie also said that you're going to help the TV series and the documentary materialize. Oh, and by the way, guys, all you guys, I'm sure you love Erik, and Paula Marino needs videos like 5 minute long in a well lit, with a stable camera or iPhone or whatever, you to share how Erik has helped you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so please send that to. Well, I left instructions on social media to go to put them in WeTransfer and put how. But her email so long. Just tell me, ask me for the instructions at emedhus@gmail.com. Just send me. I do want to do that. How do I do it? And I'll do that. All right. So yeah. So how do you do that? Do you go to like a streaming executive or what do you do?
Well, he says, so first he says we go to the higher self of the souls that are on earth.
Uh-huh.
So we go through the higher self, and he says it's all to do with alignment. So yes, we do go to executives, we go to those that are making decisions, and we start to give nudges, ideas. He goes, often those and those that are going to be producing this, those that are going to be involved in the growth of this project, he says already have a feeling of what they would like. They already, and he's showing like there's conversations that happen long before within their minds to kind of like spark, like, we should do something like this, or I wish there was something like that. So he's like showing little ideas that are
Okay.
popping in. And so he says the next thing that we do is we go to the higher self. And so we filter through the higher self everything. He goes, much like I just explained
Yeah.
with this woman. He says we go and we download whatever information that person will need. And he says, in the rest, mom, a lot of it is synchronicity. So it's the going ahead, going behind, looking at the options, looking at all the different ways this is going to happen, because he says we're skirting around free will
I
decisions.
know that's true.
We're aligning things. So he says sometimes we get a little bit of a roadblock, and he's got a construction hat on with a like go this way. So he's like, sometimes we have to take a little detour and go the other way. But he says, but this is a go, because he says we've already seen the end result.
Wow, that is cool. So I really love Melissa Chavella, the one that first said, "Hey, you don't know me, but," and I thought, oh, I'll let Paula interview her to see if it's because I get all these all the time. We want to do a TV thing, blah blah blah, and I turn them all down. But she seemed special, very
Well,
spiritual.
he says that this is part of her soul contract, because she's got in her own blueprint, she's got a part of the ascension and affecting the collective as well.
Oh
So she
wow.
feels very drawn um, sharing, to sharing what she is able to contribute.
Okay.
There's a lot of passion in her energy, he says.
All right. Let me see if I have. You guys probably need to send me some questions to ask because there needs to be a part two. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have that many. Well, here's one. How can channeling Erik members help ease the collective feeling of dread and anxiety in the world? Like, can Erik give us everyday tips on effective ways that humans can lift the vibration of others and Earth, especially those of us with limited time? Buying someone a coffee, smiling at someone on the street, leaving random notes of love tucked away in public places. These are all good ideas. Being kind and maintaining eye contact with strangers. People don't do that. I tried that in McDonald's drive-through. I actually said thank you and looked in their eyes, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
they melted. It was cool. Practicing self-love and boundaries. How do these isolated incidents add up, and can Erik quantify the effect these acts have on the overall feeling of the world?
Mm-hmm. So Erik says because everything does come from the inside. So he says vibrationally, the outside world that we see has already been manifested from within us. So we are experiencing energy that has already come through us, that is already from our past vibrations
Yeah.
as a collective. So he says when we do these acts of kindness for ourselves, and these little things that we can do. He says, like leaving a note for people, like being able to just say to somebody, hey, your hair is beautiful today. I
Yeah,
just love the way you've done your hair. He goes, these type of small things, because you don't know what's going on in everyone's life
that's true.
behind closed doors. So
Yeah.
when you can give just a little bit, and he goes, everybody has something they can give.
Yeah.
Everybody has something they can give, but don't forget to give it to yourself as well,
Oh,
because
yeah.
he says to help the world is looking at your own vibration.
Yeah.
So, what do you need to feel good? And so he says, doing things like raising your vibration, music, going for a walk, petting your animal. He goes, that's a big one. You can sit and pet your animal and love. And he goes,
Yeah.
watch a funny movie. He says, watch a Christmas movie that makes you laugh. He says, make a phone call, all of these simple things that you can do. And he says, so when you focus on today, I'm going to do something that makes me feel good, and I'm going to do something that makes another person feel good. He goes, have a stranger day. Say, I'm going to do something nice for a stranger today, and I'm going to let spirit guide me as to what that's going to be.
That's
So he
awesome.
says, doing those things and playing those games with energy raises your vibration, because that helps you be in the moment, which is very powerful. And he says, and when you can be present, your awareness shoots right up and you'll see so much more. You'll feel so much more. So engaging with spirit, playing with the energy, all of those things help raise your vibration. So he
Yeah.
says all of these little things add up. So think about when we build a bridge, think about when we are climbing a ladder. He says to get to a goal, to get to a next stage, he says we have to go one by one, by one by
Yeah.
one, so that it all adds up. And then all of a sudden, we've reached a new plateau together.
That's true. So, yeah, that's our homework, guys. Do something good for you and something good for someone else, stranger
That's
or
right.
otherwise.
That's right.
And all right, well, I think we can close there. Now, you talk about these wires, these lines. It's almost like, is that sacred geometry? The little lines that are make up
Yes.
sacred geometry that connect us
Yes.
all. Okay, cool. All right, that's it. You guys check out Michelle. Great information in the description box, and send me some more Erik questions if you want a part two. And if you don't, that's fine. I think this was wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. I love
Awesome.
you, Erik.
You're
Remember,
welcome. Love you, Mom.
I need my prank or my visit.
He's got his list. He said, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
All right. I
He
love
goes,
you.
see you soon, Mom. Love you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.